Gone South, Dave Thomas. Why are Canadians so funny? G'day guys, how's it going? My name is AussieTash. Since starting this channel, I've discovered so many hilarious, funny Canadian comedians. I found a little video here on YouTube documented by Dave Thomas. That name sounds really familiar. Obviously he's Canadian. He's a comedian. I'm not quite too sure. I need to see his face to figure out where he's from. Okay, let's get into it. Why are Canadians so funny? Let's roll.
Well, Americans frequently say, "Why are Canadians so funny?" And I think they are shocked when they hear Dan Aykroyd, Phil Hartman, Eugene Levy, Martin Short, all these people are Canadian, and because Americans are very sort of America-centric, and
America-centric.
learn about the Constitution and George Washington, American history in American schools. I know this because I went to school here. I'm from 6 to 12 years old. I was in Durham, and you don't learn about the rest of the world in school here.
Wow.
So it's always shocking when people from somewhere else come here and they're any good at anything. So I think that's why Americans ask the question, because, they're surprised that, people from a place that they don't know a lot about, and, they hear they have good beer there and it gets cold there, and then it starts to thin out. The actual information thins out badly. Watch Jay Leno's street walking stuff that he does, where he asks people, who's the president of the United States, who's the vice president. The knowledge of people is really, it's shockingly low, and I found this in comedy because the reference levels that you use and the jokes that you use, the executives will just plane it off. They'll say, no, nobody knows that. Nobody knows about that. And you get exceptions to that rule, like The Simpsons, that do a very sort of heavy reference level writing, but do a slapstick so that they can keep the morons happy and then satisfy the smart people, and people feel that they got something from that show. Now,
hold on. We're going to pause it here for a second. This is Doug, isn't it? I'm listening to this guy's voice. This is Doug from Bob and Doug McKenzie. Oh my gosh, this is him. Man, that's incredible. He's saying some really, really cool things, and it's first-hand knowledge. He went to school in America. So yeah, this is really, really cool. I like the word he used, American-centric. That is a really cool word and definitely describes America in one word, doesn't it? America-centric. Wow, Dave is talking about all the cool comedians that have come from Canada. And when you go through the list, Eugene Levy, absolutely hilarious. Oh my gosh. And didn't he just come out to the world when he did, the American Pie movies, and of course, Schitt's Creek. Dan Aykroyd, oh my gosh, I have loved Dan Aykroyd since I was a little girl. Saturday Night Live, he's absolutely hilarious. I just love Dan Aykroyd, and he's just keeping the Ghostbusters movies alive, and that is really, really cool. I also just recently seen Dan Aykroyd appear in an episode of this show on Amazon Prime, Happily Divorced. It was filmed like 10 years ago, but the character that he played on it was absolutely hilarious. Old school Dan Aykroyd. Guys, if you haven't seen it, please go and check it out. All right, let's keep on going. This is a really, really cool in-depth interview from an authentic Canadian comedian talking about why the world thinks that Canada and the comedians are so funny. I love this.
Drifted from your question, which was, why are Canadians so funny? I've heard theories that Canadians are objective because they're not part of American culture, and
absolutely,
they have a satirical objectivity. I don't believe that.
Really?
I think that's a really pseudo-intellectual answer, and maybe something that could be studied in a screenwriting class.
Yeah, it could be.
Is as related to screenwriting as making a baseball is to being a major league pitcher.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the schools will ask questions like that, and the answer is Canadians really aren't funnier than Americans. They're just happen to be a few of them that come down here. Americans notice them and go, gee, there seems to be a lot of funny Canadians here. What's that all about?
There is,
And
man.
then somebody will develop a thesis based on that observation. I think if you statistically line up all the funny people in entertainment and say, okay, how many of these people are American and how many are Canadian, it won't be that impressive,
Really?
But
Oh.
I've worked with a lot of funny Canadians who have different viewpoints, but I don't think that's a geographical thing, like
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd, for example, had a type of comedy that I'd never seen before when I first saw him. And that made him unique. And he could do blue collar raps on Saturday Night Live where he'd play a refrigerator repairman who would expose the crack of his ass. But at the same time, he would be knowledgeable about refrigeration coolants and the structure and the way a actual fridge works because he brought that richness to his thing. So he wasn't playing the refrigeration repairman as an idiot. He was just playing him as a guy that was good at his job, but he just happened to bend over and expose the crack of his ass. And I just loved it, He did a very unique kind of comedy.
Oh
Phil
my gosh.
Hartman did
Okay. Oh my gosh. Let's just pause it for a second. I think he's being very modest about how cool Canadian comedians really are. I dedicated an entire month on my channel just doing video reactions to Canadian comedians. I had no idea there were so many, man. Oh my gosh. Jim Carrey. Who would have thought that he come from Canada, man? And I've watched a lot of his old skits, like his old school skits that he was doing in like comedy clubs in Canada way, way back in the day. Absolutely hilarious. I've seen some old school footage of Phil Hartman as well. May he rest in peace. Absolutely hilarious. SCTV. Hilarious. Kids in the Hall. Absolutely hilarious, and was recently rebooted on Amazon Prime. If you guys haven't seen that, check it out. The list is just going on and on. My head is exploding, man. That show that Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy did together. And who could forget John Candy? Oh my gosh, I absolutely love John Candy. And there's just so many more people rolling in my head. All right, let's keep on going. This is so insightful. I love this interview.
very unique kind of comedy, but that wasn't distinctly Canadian either. And it was just, he was a master of the voice.
Yes,
he sort
absolutely.
of built his comedy out from the voice out to the character, you know? And Peter Sellers used to do that, and he's British. So he's not the only one that ever did it, and I don't think that's a distinctive feature of being Canadian, you know? Yeah. John Candy was funny because people just loved him. He was a big, chubby, lovable guy. When he walked on the screen, people go, I like that guy. Yeah. And I know that's true because I was on stage with John. And you can tell in that, especially in comedy, in that first 3 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, when you're out there, you can tell, is this going to work or is this not going to work? There's a feeling you get with the audience. And when you went out with John, you always had about 30 seconds, maybe a minute or two of grace, where the audience would cut you some slack because they loved him so much. So then in improvisational comedy, you'd have a little time to come up with stuff. And I always like going out with him because it upped the averages of how he would do. You know, he was fun to work with.
Oh, wow. Improv with John Candy. Imagine doing that. Like poor old Dave said, yeah, mate, it could go well, but if it didn't go well for you, John Candy would always save the day because everyone loved him. No matter what, everyone loved John Candy. Oh my gosh, this video is just making my mind tick, tick, tick over, thinking about all the hilarious Canadian comedians I've come across since doing this channel. The Red Green Show, absolutely hilarious. And Tom Green. Oh my gosh, I love Tom Green. When I was about 13 in Australia, we did get the Green Show. It was at like 9:30 on a Saturday night. Oh mate, I absolutely loved watching that show. Okay guys, we've got a minute to go. This has been such a cool video. I just stumbled across this and I'm so glad that I did.
Marty Short is like Sammy Davis Jr. and Jerry Lewis and
I love Martin Short.
Frank Sinatra, all kind of packed into one little entertainment ball.
Yeah.
And he's from Hamilton. And there's nothing about Hamilton that says that comedy and that style of entertaining is distinctively Martin Short. You know, he's just this amazing
he is
energy force,
acting, voiceovers, love him.
That is, it's not you can't bottle it. Marty has never really like had a show like Seinfeld where he can be bottled in a show.
He should have.
That's not what he does, you know. But he's won a couple of Tonys on Broadway. And
yeah.
He can do, you know, multiple characters and zip around. So these are 3 or 4 different comedians who I know who are really funny and who people embrace down here as their own.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, it just stopped just like that. Man, that was such a cool interview. It took me a while. I knew the name, Dave Thomas. I knew the name. It took me a while to sync up the name with the face. Oh my gosh, let's just talk about Bob and Doug McKenzie. Absolutely hilarious. I've watched a few of their skits, laughed my ass off. No, I have not yet watched Strange Brew. I really, really have to do that. I have to watch it soon. But yeah, this was such an incisive video. I really, really enjoyed hearing what a Canadian comedian thinks about why Canadians are so funny. He was so authentic in this video and I absolutely loved it. I appreciate that. I appreciate his honesty and how authentic he was. Okay, guys, that was the video for today. If you liked it, please jump on, smash the like button, leave a comment, and of course, remember to subscribe. That really helps me out. Also, guys, in the comments, tell me, who is your favorite Canadian comedian? Oh my gosh, you have to have a really hard think about it because there are so many. Cheers to Down Under. Take care. Bye.